Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how data set can be manipulated and how pandas provide options and flexibility of working on different type of data sets. So for that, let's start the Jupyter Notebook first. I'll start the Jupyter Notebook from the directory where our Panda data sets lies. So we have changed the directory, and as soon as I put Jupyter Notebook, it will start the Jupyter Notebook. And as I said, we have the data set already available in that folder. Okay, so in my previous video, I have defined about the slicing of the data frame. So you created a data frame and you can use dot lock. You can use two methods of data frame, lock and iLock, which are very important. Apart from that, also you can also use column indexes and row indexes. So if you just write row name dot lock, so if you just write df.lock row name, it will select on rows. If you write df.lock row name comma column name, it will select both on row name and column name. So this is how slicing is defined in the data frame. So it is very important to find some missing data in the data sets or in the data frame that you have uploaded. For that, I have simply created a new data set called df. If you are interested in looking at what is there in the df, you can simply write print df or just df and you can see there are three different columns: cart1, cart2, cart3, and with these numbers of these are the numbers which are there inside those columns, and the row names basically or the column or the indexes are 0 to 7. So now based on this, if we want to drop everything which has none value or nan value, we can write df dot drop na, and we can see that it has dropped row 1, row 2, and row 7. So we are left with 0, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Again, if we want to drop on the columns, so those columns which have nan values, so in this case, if you see cart1 and cart2, these columns names have nan values. So if I run this, it should drop these two columns and it will leave only cart3. So this is axis 1 is always for the columns and axis 0 is always for the rows. Now if you want to specify a thresh, oops, I'm sorry, so this is should be thresh with H. So there was a spelling mistake. And if I want to run this, so what you see, so in this case, thresh equal to 1. What does it say? That any value, any column which will have nan less than 1, that should be dropped. So it doesn't make any sense. So df.drop na thresh equal to 2. What does it mean is any value or any columns which will be having less than 2 nans, it will be dropped. So how thresh works is, if we write thresh equal to 1, it means it will retain all those columns or all those rows which will have at least one non-NA value. So in this case, we have all the rows will have at least one non-NA value. So it has retained everything in the data set. If we simply change it to 2, let's see what happens. So it has removed row number 2 and row number, okay, it has removed just row number 2. Why? It is because row number 2 has only one non-NA value. That is why it has removed that row. So again, if we want to do the operation on columns, we have to write axis equal to 1 because default is axis equal to 0. So if we want to do some operations, I mean this operation on the columns, we need to write specifically that axis equal to 1. So that is how thresh works. Apart from that, if we simply write fill NA equal to, fill NA is a method for df which provides you the flexibility of replacing an NA value by 0. So as you can see in this data set, we had two NAN at row 2, one NAN at row 1, and one NAN at row 7. So it has replaced everything by 0, 0, 0. So this is how fill NA method works. Again, if we specifically want to define a value to some column, to a specific column, we'll have to write that column name. We have to select that column name and put value equal to 5. Since in this card 3 there is no missing values, in card 3 there is no missing values, so it will keep the whole column as it is. If we just want to see how it works, we have to change it to card 2, and you can see wherever there was a missing values, it replaced it by 5. So this is how it works. Again, like you can utilize the aggregate function called mean. Okay, so there was a syntax error in this. If you simply use mean dot mean, there is a function called mean. If you use that, it will simply get you the mean of the whole column from card 3. So this will calculate the mean of the column card 3. This is how missing data works. There are lots of different functions in missing data. I want you to explore all those functions. And if you have any questions, you can write down here. You can ask me these questions right here. I'll try my best to come back to you in the soonest possible time. The next concept is group by. So let's define a data set called dat, and then we'll use the group by function. So if you want to see what all is there in this data set, you have to run it like this. And okay, now we can use the group by methods to group by rows together based on the column name. For example, let's group by based on the customer ID. Okay, group by based on the customer ID or customer ID. This will create a data frame group object. This object can be saved as a variable. So let's do that. As we have this data frame dat, we'll replace df by dat and then run group by on customer ID. And what you can see is, so let's first define the data set and change it to data frame, then change it to pandas data frame. And when you see, this is the pandas data frame with 3 columns: customer ID, customer name, profit in millions. Now you can calculate group by function to calculate group by on the customer ID. Now, if you want to see the mean, what is there in the mean on the basis of this calculation, you will see that there is a mean on customer ID, which is calculated on profit in millions, because you cannot calculate mean on this. In the same way, if you want to use describe, that will define a whole lot of things. So it will tell you what are the number of counts, what is mean of something. So in this case, you want to describe the values on AY 1002. So AY 1002, we have AY 1002. There are two values of AY 1002, and it will work on that. So there are two counts. Mean of these two values are 5000. This and this is 5005. Then standard deviation, it has calculated all mean, first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, and maximum. So this is how group by works. Now coming to concatenate, merge, and join. We have to create two different data sets, two different data frames, and let's concatenate it on the columns. Let's first see what lies in the data dat1 and dat2. So we have this, we have 4 different columns: cost ID, sales, priority, prime, and 4 row names. In the same way, if we are interested in looking at dat2, let's check. So both the data frame have equal number of rows and equal number of columns. Let's join them. Let's concatenate them on the axis equal to 1. So whenever there is an axis equal to 1, it means we want to concatenate it on the columns. And when it is there, so first data set comes first, which is and then followed by the second data set. So this is how concatenate works. If we want to merge it, on the left side, keeping, if we want to merge it on customer ID, we'll have to write it like on customer ID, and this is left join. So we'll have to, so it can be a left join, keeping all the values from the left data set intact, and using other column names from the, and using the column names from the other data set. So if you can see, there is no X4 in this, sorry, there is no X5 in this, so there is no X5 in this. So customer ID is 9001, 9002, 9003, and there is no 9005 actually. So there is no 9005, and it has given you all the values from all the columns from DAT1 and DAT2. So columns customer ID, sales priority prime, and customer ID, sales payback importance. So this is how merge works. Let's very quickly see joining. Join can be used to combine columns of two data frames that have different index values into a single data frame. The one difference between merge and join is that merge uses common columns to combine two data frames, whereas join uses row index to join two data frames. So let's run and create two different data frames and see what lies in these two data frames, DAT3 and then another one, DAT4. So as you can see, there are row indexes IN0, IN1, IN2, IN0, IN2, IN3. And if you want to join them on right side, this is how it will be joined. So basically, you are bringing in all the columns together based on the available row numbers. Okay. So you are joining data 3 with data 4 with right join. So when you are saying right join, you should have all the rows from the right data set, that is DAT4 data set. Now there are some basic operations which are very standard. If you have worked on R, you can take a look in the data set what lies in this data set, and the customer ID, sales type, sales code, and if you want to select sales type, you'll see what is the value type. So how many sales types are there? Big, NAN, medium, big, medium, and then there are two NANs. So big, there is a one count for big, one count for median, and no count for NAN. Again, you want to subset this data set. So customer ID is not equal to 3. When you say customer ID is not equal to 3, and DF sales type is equal to big. So say DF sales type is equal to big. So we'll select only first row, and that is how it selected only first row. Now we can define a function called profit, and it returns the 4 times of the values of A. So when we want to run it on the data set called profit, it will multiply everything by all the profit by 4. So it will multiply everything by 4. So if we see here, okay, so it has multiplied a customer ID by 4 basically. So this is the data set, and we are applying the profit function. So it has multiplied the customer ID by 4. So this is how it works, and we want to sum it up by using dot sum. Then we can delete the columns, and if we are interested in looking at what lies now in DF, so as you can see, there is no customer ID. So df.index, it will show what are different indexes, where to start and where to stop, and what are different steps. So this is how it works. In the next video, I will show you how to import CSV and Excel data files, and how to do simple manipulations on this. See you on the other side of the video. Thank you so much for watching it.